Now, I ain't gonna drag Gen X because Umar is Gen X. Because y'all know how I feel about them. But I'm gonna get them peace today. I'm gonna get them rest today. Okay? But I will say this. That's why I be telling y'all that we were casualties of their love lives. Okay? That's why I be telling y'all that millennials, Gen Z, okay, a lot of us were casualties of the love lives of boomers and the love lives of Gen X. I think it's time for us to start being honest about what really happened. And what really happened is these folk was using children as a pawn. Both of them were. Both sides. Women and men gonna catch it today. Both sides were using us as pawns. Okay? Because they could not control the other side. Okay? They could not get what they wanted from the other side. And so children had to suffer for it. Whether it was the woman withholding the child because she was mad about whatever happened between the man and what he was doing, or whether it was because the man decided he didn't want to be a father and take care of the child because he was mad because he didn't get what he wanted to get from that damn mama. Many of us lost access to our fathers the minute he lost access to our mama's cootie cat. That's the real truth. Once he couldn't hunch on her no more, he ain't even want to be a father no more because he was being a performative father. He was sitting up there wanting to be a father as long as he could hunch on her from time to time, right? As well as hunching on other women too, okay? And then, and then sometimes once these women move on and get a stepfather, which this is in an actual study that stated this, that when single mothers move on in relationships and the child gets a stepfather, it decreases the engagement of the biological father because he feels like this other person done moved in on his territory, so there's no need for him to be there. That's why some of them will run around and say, well, why don't he raise your kid? You call asking for some money for some shoes for the babies. Why don't you ask that nigga for money for the baby shoes? Okay? A lot of their bullshit, a lot of the interactions that they had as parents was petty. That's the real truth. A lot of their ass was fucking petty as fuck. And the kids suffer for it. And we gonna also throw the steps in there too. Yeah, y'all gonna catch the smoke today too. A lot of us didn't have fathers, okay, or mothers, okay, because these motherfuckers had gotten relationships with people that were too goddamn insecure for the other parent to effectively co-parent. So you had stepfathers that shut the biological father out of the picture, right? And you also had stepmothers, okay, whether they got married or not, that shut the father out of the picture of co-parenting with the mother to get the child. Okay, there was a lot of that shit going on too. They were more concerned about the possibility of them two hunching on each other than the harm and damage that was being caused to the child. Okay, or the mother got pissed off about the stepmother being there, and then she also withheld access to the child because of that too. And I gotta go further. I gotta go further because it's more than just that. It's more than just that. We got to get on these mamas too. We got to get on these mamas of these people too, the grandmas. Some of them are the reason that we didn't have, father access as well. Because they didn't like that mama, so they would encourage the father to be a deadbeat. Okay, they were in these weird emotional incestuous relationships with their sons, so they would um actively hinder the interactions between the mother and the father because they wanted to have control and unfettered access to the father. Or it could have been the mother on the grandmother on the mother's side who didn't have a relationship or whatever that she wanted to have, and so she didn't want these two people to have a seamless relationship, so she was putting shit in the game. And I'm going to talk about something else too. Y'all ain't ready for me to talk about this shit either. Some of us didn't have fathers because our fathers are misogynists and because of the narrative that girls need to be with their mother, not really their father. And the focus was on boys not having a father. And so they were more inclined to fight for boys and not really be interested in girls. Okay, so some of us did not really have an active, engaged, or present father simply because we were a girl. So they would walk off and leave. Like, I really don't need to be here because this is a girl. She don't really need me to raise her, teach her how to be a man. All her tutelage and training and stuff is going to come from the mom. So my presence isn't really necessary here. And some of them, right, some of our mothers didn't like us because we looked like our daddy, whereas some of our daddies didn't like us because we looked like our mama. And sometimes they was just immature as fuck and they wanted to go off and live their life and shit. And so they left us to be raised by other motherfucking people because they didn't want to raise us. Left us with grannies, aunties, etc., etc., etc. But that's neither here nor there. Okay? That's neither here nor there. But I do think that it's high time, okay, for us to stop living in bullshit and falling for the ways that, whether it's the daddy, like the Umar, or the mom that try to victimize themselves. We have to stay in critical thinking skills because that's the only way for us to truly hold our parents accountable for the shit that they did. Okay, that's the only way for us to truly hold the community accountable for the shit that they did. And that's the only way for us to learn from the shit that they did so we don't walk them same paths. Okay, so we don't walk them same paths. And I done told y'all, I have kids, right? Literally, my daughter's father is extremely active, right? My daughter with him right now, okay? And we go at it all the time, okay? We did not have a good relationship. Hell, our relationship ain't even last long. I broke up with him rather quickly, okay? But I can always say that he stepped in his stepped in regards to our child, right? And even when we had to deal with some interference and bullshit coming from his side and his mama and them, he also stood up to his mama and I stood up to his mama. And we was like, look, we ain't got to be cool. We ain't got to be friends. We ain't got to hunch. We ain't got to kick it. But we gonna exchange this kid though. I mean, I'm talking literally cuss each other out. I got to step outside because I never cussed him out in front of my child. Step outside and be like, nigga, what's up? What's good with it? What you want to do? What you want to do? He like, hey, what up? Come on, square up. You gonna be there at 3 to pick up your daughter, right? Yeah, I'll be there. All right. Okay, cool. That's literally how we had to do it sometimes. That's literally how we had to do it sometimes. But we made a commitment that it's really not about us. It's about our child. It has nothing to do with us. Okay? And at the end of the day, whether we like each other or not, okay, we are both the chosen parents of this daughter, and we gonna do what's right no matter what. And that's how we've been doing it for 11 years now. Okay? So it's up to us to change that and break that generational curses too.